Hello again, this is Jeff with the Valhalla Ventures, reiguideservice.com, reiguideservice.com. Here to talk about, I'm in my garage. This is what my garage looks like. It looks disheveled and unorganized, but it is. So today I want to talk a little bit about, the pandemic or whatever it is that we're going through. Now, I don't really want to delve deep into the what ifs or any of that kind of stuff. I more want to talk about the opportunity for it to let you see things a little bit differently. Not everybody has extra time, or some people obviously still have essential jobs, and some people are still doing their hustle and getting their grind on, and that's fine. But more what I'm talking about is that more than ever there's going to be excuses, right? Like there's a pandemic, so that's a good excuse to not be doing stuff. The market's crashing, so that's another excuse. The government's going to be sending your small business a loan, so you can sigh a breath of relief and wait for that to come in. But sometimes things don't happen. Sometimes the relief that you are 100% positive that you're qualified for, you wind up not really getting. A lot of people are dealing with that right now, especially with the small business loans, not really following the guidelines of the law as I see it. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just some guy on the internet. But from what I've read in the laws, it's pretty specific in who qualifies, what they need to qualify, and those kind of things. And there's a lot of completely different information in the SBA guidelines. So what the law that was passed and what's actually being dispersed is not the same thing. And you can't rely on that. And I think that the people that figure it out one way or another obviously are going to be better for it, right? If you get the money, but you already had a way to sustain yourself and push through and hold on, then obviously if you get the money, that just is on top of that. People aren't going to be successful after all of this because they get some sort of stimulus. That doesn't mean anything. The government has been giving stimulus and money to people and businesses for a very long time, and a lot of those places, and I'm talking millions of dollars, and they still go out of business. So just because you're given money doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of different types of businesses. Energy sector, there's real estate sector, there's tons of times that money is injected, and money is not the solution. It is the solution to paying the electric bills and keeping employees and buying food and that kind of stuff. You need it for that. And if you've exhausted every opportunity and every way that you can see, it doesn't mean that's you still have to wait for something else to come along that's going to save you. There's very rarely something that saves you besides your own efforts. That's what's going to save you. That's going to be the guarantee that's going to be there, that's going to have your back no matter what. I've seen a lot of bad information from gurus. I posted on multiple of my social medias, like the Instagrams and the Facebooks, that if I had money, and this is a couple months ago, that if I had money with any guru, I would get it out. And that was before the pandemic hit. And it wasn't necessarily because of the pandemic. It was because I really started delving into questioning what a lot of these gurus were doing, because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how having a private jet and flying around the country and bragging and being braggadocious, nonstop, and being very, very forceful in what people should do. Maybe that motivates some people, and that's fine. And if that's what you're doing, you're motivating people, you're a motivational speaker. I mean, what motivates someone else probably won't motivate me, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be doing that. The difference to me is when you're taking people's money, accredited, unaccredited, and you're investing for them and the investment strategy, the what you're doing and what you're telling everybody you're doing don't match. That's just, it's been around forever. I've complained about it forever because most of the wholesalers that have wholesale businesses, what they're really doing and what they should be doing is, I mean, they're doing what they should be for themselves, right? They're sorting through a lot of deals, they're looking at a lot of projects, and then they're taking out what's best for them and deciding if they want to do it or not. And then if they want to do it, they do it. If they don't, they wholesale it off to someone else, and that's what they should do. My problem comes in whenever they start to change the numbers, to take one of those deals that they weren't going to do and change those numbers and say, well, you could do the rehab for less and you could sell it for a little bit more. And now it looks like a deal, and then pawning it off on people that don't really know. Especially if they have a service with a name brand associated with it, and they spend a ton of money on marketing, and they're presenting themselves as experts, and they're saying that that's all they do. I mean, look, just be honest with people and say, look, we go through these, we find the best ones. We don't know shit about rehab. We believe this is what the rehab is going to be. We believe this, but you need to get your expert in there and check it out because, whatever. But if you're marketing something, even if they check it out, and if everybody that checks it out just never buys a deal from you as a wholesaler, you really don't care because there's so many people that won't check it out because you've been propped up as an expert. Having a marketing presence like, a Grant Cardone or, really he's the only one I can think of right off the top of my head, but that's really all about marketing, but claims to be about real estate, because he's not talking about real estate, he's talking about marketing. Because his real estate doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. He's charging way more than any other syndication, and we're talking big name, long-term, well-proven, well-established syndications that are charging way less than what he's charging. And their deals seem to be more based in fact and like I said, lots of research and making sure that there's some sort of equity so that it's not just about cash flow, but there is some equity for that protection because it's being run by people that have been through it before, right? But the way, for instance, Grant Cardone's is structured is if you're investing $10,000 with him and that's all the money you have, you might not get that money for 5-10 years, depending on how long you invested. And, excuse me, there's cash flow, but if you're in an emergency and you need that money, you need that money. And if there isn't cash flow, there isn't really a penalty because if the property has to be sold, he's still getting paid. He's essentially getting paid no matter what happens, right? Obviously, the more money the property makes, it's more beneficial to him. But there is no lose. So if you're just gambling and gambling and gambling and you're going to walk no matter what with cash, it makes it a lot easier to make risky moves and, rent jets and whatnot. So, and I'm upset because he recently made a joke video where he was joking about being bankrupt and having to sell off stuff and the feds being at his office. And I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, it came out that he had to lay off like 50% of his workforce. So for that news to come out and then for him to make a joke video that he never said, hey, this is a joke. If I was one of his investors with money with him, I would be devastated. I would be heartbroken, right? I wouldn't think it was funny. But whatever. Like I said, maybe that motivates some people. That doesn't motivate me. But I want to make sure that we're taking this time to not make excuses for not moving forward. And I've been guilty of it myself. I've been watching way too much YouTube and Netflix and that kind of stuff more than I normally would, for sure. Not going and doing as many things, networking events and that kind of stuff has really put a hamper on what I normally do. And so I've been filling that time with some things that I shouldn't be. And not everybody has that time. I mean, I have a lot of kids, but I have an amazing wife, so I don't have to dedicate too much too much time to raising my kids. That didn't come out right. I dedicate at least 5 minutes a day, every day, total, across all three children. look, I just think that, right now there's going to be a lot of changes, and things can go back to how they were, or they can, never go back to how they were, or it can be a whole new thing. And you really just got to do the best you can every single solitary day, research, and if things sound too good and people are really spending a ton of time pumping you up and motivating you for, $10,000 of your investment, and they're just pumping out content and pumping out content. They're pumping out content to market because they want more of those small dollar amounts, or they're narcissistic, right? That's not necessarily the type of person that I would want to invest my money with, who is pumping out content and marketing to new people, because if you're making that kind of money, other people that are wealthy will look and go, oh, let's see, this guy's making really good money. I'm going to put my money with him. That's what investors do. There's a lot of ways to reach very, very wealthy people. And if you're buying multi-million-dollar apartment complexes, flipping multi-million-dollar houses, which Grant Cardone says he doesn't do, which is a lie. That's how he made his money in real estate to begin with, was his own personal house, which he now tells everybody not to get because of liabilities. And, it is a liability. It's not an asset. If it's not giving you money, it's an asset. It's a liability. But you're going to have to live somewhere. And so buy a property and then lease it from yourself, I guess, but you're still buying. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is this. You got to use some logic, and not everybody's going to be successful at this. And if you have a tendency to fall for people's bullshit, if you've, been trapped by several multi-level marketing schemes, and think that you're trying to get into something, real estate related, because it's easy, well, it's not easy. I mean, my shop would look way cooler than this, or maybe I have like a really nice office or something, with like lamps, maybe I'd have a jet. It's not that easy. If you're really doing the work and you're really making those efforts, it's a slow process, and it's like building anything of value. It's not something that you can just, jump into. I hate to be harping on Cardone here, but I mean, I think he sold his first property that he lived in. Like, he bought it at a really good time as his home, and then he lived in it for a few years. He was making his money doing seminars, right? He's admitted that he scammed people by selling them these seminars, and that anyway, I won't get into that. But he made a bunch of money doing that, scamming on seminars. And then he bought this house. I think he paid like $1 million for it, and then a few years later sold it for like $10 million. It basically made $1 million a year equity in it. Like, that's the value that it went up. And then he sold that personal property and then went and bought an apartment complex in Florida, but now tells everybody that don't do that. Don't do what he did. But again, that's all that marketing and sales pitch. Me. I'm your savior. I'm the only one that can do it. And I'm not here to tell you that I can do anything for you. I can help you. I can give you some advice, some tips, some tricks. I could partner with you on a project, and we're going to be in it 50-50. There's not going to be a scenario where I partner with someone where I have no risk, and they have all of the risk. That's not a partnership. And that's not an agreement that I'd want to be in. But like I said, we'll see what happens, because I don't know what the market's going to do. But I know people are always going to need housing. I know that if you, hold on and make the efforts and do everything that you can, that even if you fail at the end, even if things fall apart, even if you lose some of your properties or equities, the end of the day, you're going to be proud of yourself for the efforts that you put. Not everything's going to work out, but the things that do, you're going to be extra proud of, and you're even going to be proud of yourself for the efforts that you put into the things that don't. So don't waste too much time worrying about what's going to happen later. If you are having any questions about real estate and you want to get a hold of me, thevalhallaventures.com, reguideservice.com, my information is there. My name is Jeff. You have a great day. Stay safe. Be careful. Love thy neighbor and all that stuff. All right? Talk to you later. Bye. How do I do this?